How are we going, folks? Welcome back to the Nightmare Cabin, and I've got a very special guest tonight. I've got Chris Monroy from Skeletal Remains. How are you, man?
Good, man. How you doing? Thanks for having me.
Oh, pleasure to have you on. And yeah, I'm excited to talk about this new album and talk about Skeletal Remains in general, really. Give you my. I got into Skeletal Remains really around devouring mortality, and
Okay.
I think that was a breakthrough for a lot of people. I think a lot of people jumped on board with that album,
Yeah. hmm
and I saw you in London in Camden. I can't remember was it the Black Heart? It's one where
Hmm.
you go upstairs. So
Yeah,
it's
that
not the
sounds
underworld.
that
It's
very
kind
the
of a
very small place.
yeah. And
Yeah, yeah.
I bought the LP and got everyone
Nice.
to sign it. And I
Awesome.
said to you that night, I said, "This is the last time I'm going to see you in a venue this small because this band are going to be going places." And I said at the time, I said, "There's something special about Skeletal Remains, and I do think there's going to be a classic, timeless album coming from this band." And I was like, "You're awesome at the moment, but I don't think you've got it just yet. But I think in a couple of albums' time, we're going to get a classic album from you." And yeah, in a couple of days, Fragments of The Ageless is coming out, and I think we just might have made it. I think we've arrived. So no pressure. Let's talk about the new album and how it's come about. I know there's been some lineup changes as well. So I suppose, yeah, fill us in the gap then between the embodiment of chaos and now. I guess there's quite a bit to go for. We've got quite a lot of ground to cover.
Yeah. Okay, 2 minutes was 2020, so yeah, we've got we. I mean, I think trying to think. Yeah, because the record was released right around. It was still COVID time, so there wasn't really much going on when the record dropped. We actually went in to record it when the lockdowns had just happened here in LA. So, anyways, yeah. Luckily, there wasn't too much of a delay for things to start happening again once the record dropped. So I think we waited maybe like 6 months without doing anything, and then we started being able to do shows, and then touring started picking up, and yeah, man, we've been fucking quite busy ever since. We did yeah, I think we did maybe like ever since things started picking up. I think we've done like at least three to four tours a year.
So you're in the band full time now. You're because a lot of bands, they do it on the side of their job, so they take time out for do you do Skeletal Remains full time?
For the most part, yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
it really depends on how busy we are throughout the year. If there's like a big gap where we're not doing much, then obviously I'll we'll like all start working, you know. But if we're like constantly on tour, like 3 to 4 months a year or 3 to 4 tours a year, then usually we're okay and we're able to pay
yeah.
bills.
Well, you were certainly on the
Um,
way to that before the lockdowns.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. So it's definitely gotten a lot better, obviously, since I don't know, a couple of years ago. But yeah, like I said, it just really depends on how busy we are throughout the year, how many tours come up. Um, if we're like I said, if we're doing a couple like a good amount of tours a year, then usually we're able to make enough money to pay our bills back home and all that stuff. But if we're taking a long break, then we'll probably just get like a job while it's for the time being home or whatever, and then get back out on the road. But yeah, no, man, we've done a lot of cool tours, and since the last record I think opened a lot of doors for us and gave us a lot of opportunities to tour with a lot of sick bands and bands that we worship. So yeah, man, I can't complain. We're super stoked for this new one to come out, and we're super stoked to see what people think about it. Obviously this is a whole different lineup. I mean, Mike is still in the band, but the guys we were using for Entombment was they were more of just kind of like helping us out and filling in
Yeah.
for that record. So for this record, it's a solidified lineup. This is the actual band, and yeah, I think we made something like really special, and stoked to see what people think about it. I mean, obviously every band's going to tell you that this is their best work. I mean, whatever. But yeah, I think this is definitely our heaviest and most brutal work to date.
The it seems you you're going through you're working your way up through the leagues pretty quick, and it's getting to the point now where you are you could be on a festival with some classic names, and then Skeletal Remains there, and it's just natural now. It's just, yeah, Skeletal Remains. There's no have you heard of them now. It seems like everyone is becoming a household name in terms of death metal, and it just seems as well that you've got the classic albums. So you've got your Slowly to Rot, your Altars of Madness, insert your favorite albums, and it's like you've got your top 10 albums there, and you're just like, right, we're going to match that. And it's not as if Skeletal Remains have reinvented the wheel in any way, but you've just gone, no, we're just going to do it classic. We're just going to do it properly. When a new.
Yeah, 100%. That's essentially why this band was started, just to kind of yeah, keep the wheel going, I guess, if that makes sense. We're not here to like do something completely different or something that's going to be like oh, this is the next like, I'm not really sure how to explain it, but we're not really trying to experiment or anything. All we're trying to do is just kind of keep the ball rolling and just kind of sound like the bands that we grew up listening to and worshipped.
Yeah, but you've got that classic recipe, that classic sound, but there's no point, there's nowhere where I go, oh, what does Skeletal Remains just sound like this band or that band? Throughout the entire album, you'll go, oh yeah, that's a good bit. It's like you've taken a whole host of influences where if someone's going to approach death metal in a classic way, they kind of pick a lane and go, right, we're going to go the obituary route, and we're going to go like, groovy and sludgy, or we're going to go the technical route and we're going to be all widdly widdly, or we're going to go the
Yeah,
esoteric route and we're going to go all dark and satanic or whatever it is, with like your morbid angels. And Skeletal Remains just mix it all up. There's a little bit of everything in the albums, and lyrically you seem to go everywhere as well. And there's
yeah,
parts as well where in the first couple of albums it was actually quite thrashy. It's got like death thrash.
yeah,
Reminded me of
definitely.
like Solstice and Obituary. I'm hearing more Morbid Angel influences on the newer albums, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, just like with your record collection, you don't stick to a certain type of band, and so you don't stick to it while writing either, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. No, yeah. It's definitely like we try to take like best parts, I guess, or what we think is the best parts of like what influenced us, and try to like kind of make it into one thing. Uh, but yeah, definitely, I agree. Like the whole thing of like different styles, into not styles really, but like different. Obviously, because death metal is such a wide spectrum, different. Like how you just mentioned, there's like you got Obituary, sounds completely different than Morbid Angel or
Yeah,
Gorguts, or so there's just different styles, I guess, if that makes sense. And yeah, we just try to take from everything, make it our own thing, if that makes sense.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Um, so tell us, let's go back to the beginning, and then we'll work our way back to the present album, and then we'll go through some tracks. But tell us a little bit about how Skeletal Remains formed, and where you're like, the sole original member now. Like, was you always a driving force, or was you just everyone just left and you was kind of left last one standing?
uh,
Or
um, no, I mean, the actually the idea of, I'm not 100% sure if I'm remembering this correctly, but I want to say this idea. I mean, obviously it was me and Mike, but I think the idea actually came from him. I was in a different band and I was touring. I was quite busy with that band, so I didn't my I really had no like, I really like starting another band was really the last thing on my mind. I was just totally busy with them, but obviously when we're not touring, I'd come home and I'd still hang out with friends and stuff, and um jam. We'd definitely, like, my house was the place that everybody would come to jam, because I had my brother's a musician, and he had his friends that he would jam there with, so there was already equipment there. So my place seemed to be like the place where everyone would come to jam to. So when
yeah,
I was in touring, I still hang out with friends from high school, and we jam, and a lot of this stuff that me and Mike and friends were jamming was, like the death metal that we grew up listening to and that we worship. So it got to the point where like we just I think I don't know if it was me or Mike, and we were just like, hey, why don't we just try like writing something instead of just like playing all these covers, because we started getting bored of playing all these covers. And yeah, that's kind of how the whole idea started. And then we wrote like the first three songs, me and Mike together. We went into the studio to record them. And then during the recording process, Mike had to leave. He was married at that time, and he just had some personal stuff going on. So he's like, "Hey, man, like this was fun, but I don't know if I can actually take this to the next level." And I was so into the songs and death metal being like what I worship. Obviously, the band I was playing in before was more death thrashy or thrashy. Um, So this being death metal, I kind of was like super into it, and I had told him like, man, we should really try to like, do something with this because I was so stuck on the songs we had written, and so I don't know, maybe he just didn't really see himself like touring or playing shows that like as much as I wanted to do it, and obviously him being married, he's just like, I don't think I can do this, so he's like, you keep it going, I'll obviously be here to support you guys and all that. So, anyways, he left the band, and I got two other dudes to come in, and that's kind of where the whole band started. So it was originally started by me and Mike, but Mike is back in the band. He joined around 2018 for a little while. He joined during the touring cycle of Divine Mortality.
Right.
And then he left for a little bit because the old guitar player came back, and he ended up leaving. So Mike ended up coming back full time, and yeah. Anyways, but back to the beginning. Yeah. We just kind of started writing music, and we got hit up from a label based out of Germany, which is FDA Records. They just asked like, hey, would you guys be interested in releasing the songs as a tape, the demo? And I'm like, yeah, totally. And I don't know, he probably released like 300 copies or something, and they sold out like fairly quick. And he was like, he just brought up the idea like, well, obviously people like this, would you guys be into doing a full length? And that's kind of how like everything started to like how things started to get more serious. We wrote the first record, Beyond the Flesh, and then that did really well. We got an opportunity to tour in Europe and play some pretty sick festivals out there. And then that's when we really started getting serious about it. And we wrote the second record. Um, I believe there was already some interest from Century Media after the first record, but us being on the contract with two records with FDA, we couldn't really work anything out at that time. So once that we finished those two records and the contract finished, I think we got back in touch with Century Media. They were still interested, and that's when Devour Mortality came into play.
Yeah.
And
Century
yeah,
Media
there's
is
been yeah,
the label to be on. it's
yeah, and there's been a few. I mean, lineup changes have definitely happened throughout this band. Some people have came and gone, and I've obviously me being like this being my baby, then I kind of kept it going as much as I could, and I feel I'm pretty happy with the lineup we have now. We've obviously brought a fucking sick record, and yeah, man, everybody seems to work well together, and we're just stoked to see what people think, and yeah, we're excited to keep releasing some music, some more stuff.
Well, what I normally do on the channel is do retrospectives where I go through a band's back catalogue. So if you wouldn't mind going doing that with me.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, let's get into the first album then, Beyond the Flesh. And what do you think of this looking back on it now?
Yeah, man. To some people, that still seems to be their favorite record, and I
You're
get it. I
always going to
mean,
get that. Yeah, always going to get
yeah,
it.
yeah, definitely. I mean, I
I
get it.
only like the demo. And
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I get that all the time, but no, that was I mean a very important record for us. I don't really know if we really knew. I mean, I don't even know if we till this day we still know. I mean, I don't really know if we really know what we're doing, but definitely for that record, I feel like we were kind of just like having fun. I mean, not that we're not having fun now, but we didn't really we weren't really like too serious about it yet. We were kind of just like the first
If you'd
demo
have
had just
known
came
you were going
out.
to be making 5 albums, you probably would have.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I don't know. Things might have been different looking back. Sorry, I hope my dog isn't too loud.
no, he's fine.
But anyways, yeah, I don't know. It's a good record. It's just looking back at it, it's like I definitely would have relaxed. I would have done things a little bit different. But yeah, I don't know. It's just like I mean, it just takes me back to like being a 20-year-old kid touring Europe and having fun drinking and doing all that shit. So I mean, it definitely brings back some cool memories. I mean, that's only 10 years ago. I'm talking about it like it was 50 years ago, but yeah, no,
It is, yes.
it's
12 years
it,
ago. That's mad.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, but no, I mean, it's definitely, like I said, it's definitely an important record. The riffs on there, I feel like, are very simple compared to our newer stuff. Like very, just I feel like are definitely the way I was writing music then, or we were writing as a band, has definitely has changed completely. I tend to like, I think I was just kind of throwing a bunch of riffs together, and like there wasn't really like a structure yet. It's kind of like when I listen back to the songs, it sounds like I just pasted a bunch of riffs together. Now the way I write music, I try to make things a little bit more um, like I try to make things a little bit more structured, and things kind of just in my head make more sense now compared to back then. Like the first record, yeah, it just seemed like I just threw a bunch of riffs together. But people enjoy that shit.
Yeah. And
I mean, that's
I suppose that when the band first starts out as well, on everyone's first record, you're just trying to be as heavy as you can be as well. Just try and stand out, being as extreme as possible.
yeah, and I think I mean, there wasn't really like when we started this band. Another reason why we started was because there wasn't really many bands here in LA that were trying to do that sort of like old school, like Florida style of death metal that we were trying to go for back then. So I think we were also just like we were kind of just, I mean, not that we don't do that now as well, but we were really just trying to rip off as much as we could our idols and try to sound as much as like even in my voice, like it was my first time singing. Like I've never been a singer before this band, so like I've obviously learned a lot since I started. But when I first started doing it, I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. I was literally just trying to sound like like my idol or like
I
people
think,
that
yeah, even from Devouring Mortality to now, there's a development in your vocals.
yeah,
It seemed at the beginning you was sort of kind of barking, just going
yeah,
straight from the throat. Now it feels like you've developed more, and you've got a lot more of that. The more of the
yeah,
comes from the gut a bit
hmm
more, and you're doing more
definitely.
stuff with your voice. And I suppose it just comes with time, and just comes with playing 100 gigs at a time. Your voice just gets.
Yeah, and I think I've also just learned naturally how to go about like what works for me and what doesn't. Like I remember when I was first doing this, a lot of the times like playing shows, I remember coming off stage with like a headache, and like losing my voice all the time because I feel like I didn't really have a technique down, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Now it seems very natural where I'm like um kind of have an idea of what works and doesn't work for me
Hmm.
just from doing it for so long. So yeah, it's kind of like a natural progression, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, definitely, if the band's definitely coming together on the second album, Condemned to Misery, and
Hmm.
the opening track on this is just absolutely punishing beyond cremation. It's got more of a in this one as well. It feels like you're getting more rhythm to it, more bounce to the riffs. You got
Hmm.
more of a groove in there as well. But yeah, you're definitely
Yeah,
developing as well as a songwriter.
yeah,
Um,
that second record for sure. We were trying to push ourselves to kind of just um not like 'cause that's when I kind of like was trying to like structure songs and make things a little bit more interesting and catchy instead of just putting riffs together. Um, I also was trying to like we were trying to like really make songs more technical on that record. Um, and as far as like drums as well, we wanted drums to be really out there. So the drummer we used was super like really good. So he was able to pull that off for us, and yeah, man, that was a good record.
So then you got out a live split EP with
Yeah,
Boffins, Rude, and Carnation. This is a really good recording. If anyone, it's a bit of a rare one this now, so
yeah,
pick that up,
that one.
anyone, if you can still track a copy down. But then yeah, we got the switching over to Century Media, Devouring Mortality. Obviously, you're in the Dan Seagrave. You're in the club now. You got
Yeah,
to,
yeah,
and yeah,
definitely.
again, this is the album that I came in. Uh, yeah, this is the one I first heard the band on, and this is where I saw you on that tour. To the point where, yeah, I ended up buying the LP at the merch stand just to get it signed. And
Nice, nice.
but yeah, this is a cracking album, and I think yeah, I think it's fair to say this is where everything sort of comes together as well. I suppose on the first two albums, you're sort of throwing everything at the wall and seeing what sticks, and on
Hmm.
this album, it's like yeah, we know what works and what doesn't work, and then it comes together as like the you know
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, that one was when we first introduced 7 string guitars too. So it definitely made things heavier, and we had sort of more to work with. If that makes sense.
yeah
Like, um, obviously that lower tuning just gives you more of like a more of like you're able to work. I kind of, yeah, the same thing I just said. You're able to work with more, like the riffs sound completely different and darker and heavier. So that's where we first introduced the 7 strings, and yeah, I think that was a good move on our end, because now, like, I mean, both from that record and on, like the 7 strings are. I think we usually try to split it, so we'll do like half 6 string songs, half 7 string songs. So it just helps with the variety and like kind of change things up.
yeah. And then next up, we have the Entombment of Chaos, and things definitely. I feel there is a shift in the sound with this album, and I feel
Hmm.
with this one, any sort of thrash influences are dropped, and you are full on death metal on this one. Um,
Yeah,
on the first couple of albums, there's a bit of like a Sepultura feel to it, like early like sort of
hmm,
schizophrenia era Sepultura,
yeah,
and while on this one, yeah, it feels like it's a lot darker and a lot more, yeah, just more
yeah.
focused on the.
It's definitely more straightforward death metal for sure.
There's a, if
Um,
I remember rightly, there's a couple of doomier sections on this as well. There's a bit of an epic towards the end. Um,
yeah, maybe Eternal Hatred.
yeah,
That's one of the ones that was a little bit different on that record. That was more, yeah, more just like heavy, and the riffs were not super technical, so they were more simple, and yeah, it just had more of that epic heaviness to it.
yeah, and you got the Stench of Paradise Burning cover on there as well. And
Yeah.
I haven't got a copy of Fragments of the Ageless yet. I have pre-ordered a copy, but when it arrives, I'll be doing a review and showing it off. But yeah, let's get into the album then. So, how do you feel it's built upon and developed from? How do you think the sounds developed with this album in terms of songwriting and
Um. Well, I mean, it's kind. I feel like this next one is kind of like obviously it's like it's kind of in that realm of intimate, like where it's more straightforward, just like death metal. We tried our best to like kind of um make things interesting and kind of push ourselves as a band and as musicians to like just kind of be better as a band, I guess. And we try to make it a little bit more extreme, but obviously still keeping that whole catchiness and the riffs and like the whole record itself. But yeah, I mean I mean it's definitely a natural progression, but we definitely with every record we always try to like make it better than the last, obviously. Um, but Yeah, I know. I don't know. I think it's kind of like in that same realm as Entombment of Chaos, just a little bit more like extreme, if that makes sense. And um, as far as like nothing really changed as far as like lyrical topics or anything like that. Like for me, the lyrics are kind of like the last thing that comes in the picture. The main thing for me is like the music. That's what's important for me. So making a good song, and then the lyrics obviously add on to that at the end. But um, yeah, I don't know. Obviously having Pierce and Brian definitely helped a lot with this record. They definitely put in their touch on it, and I think that helped made this record what it is. Um, and just having them around to help with the record, like with the writing, because obviously with Devouring and Entombment, Devouring being most all of my writing and Entombment being half of the record was written by me and then the other half was written by me and Mike when he came into back into the band and helped finish that record. So this was the first time that we actually sat together in a room as a band and wrote songs together. Since Condemned to Misery. Um, Before after Condemned to Misery was mostly just me in front of my computer writing ideas, putting riffs together, mapping things out to a computer or drum machine. Um, you know, Creating like drum tracks and all that stuff. So this was the first time that we actually got together as a band and wrote a record together. So I think that also made a difference. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I think the best way to go about it is just listen to the damn thing and see what you think about it.
Yeah, I think this one as well. I feel it's a bit more melodic than usual as well, but the the melodic side of it doesn't take anything away from the heaviness. It just, if anything,
Mhm.
it adds another layer
Yeah, yeah.
of darkness to it. What stood out to me as well, what we, it's all well and good, but then when ceremony of impiety kicks in, it's like,
Hmm.
oh, this is nice. You got
Yeah,
a
yeah.
nice little instrumental right smack bang in the middle of the album, and
Hmm.
then I think the real crowning achievement on the album actually is actually the last two songs. I think up and
Yeah.
it starts off quite familiar enough, and you're getting Skeletal Remains, but it seems like you really push yourself on Unmerciful and Invocation. In fact, I was just listening to it on the way home from work, and I can't remember which one it is, but the solo actually reminded me of a
Hmm.
lava by Trey from Morbid Angel. The solo goes, the
Yeah,
way
yeah,
Trey
yeah.
would go off on, and it's like, yeah, this is awesome. It feels like, when Morbid Angel went really deep, like on like Formula's Fatal to Flesh, when Trey just completely took
Hmm.
over, and yeah, it seems
Yeah,
like you
those are
really
some of
pushed
my
the limits
favorite
on this
records,
one.
man.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Trey's a big influence. Um, Obviously, the later Morbid Angel. Anyone that listens to this record is going to be able to tell that that's heavily influenced on not just this record, but also in Two Minute Chaos.
mm.
Um, like Tucker era and Rutan being involved. Like, yeah, I personally think for me personally, those are my two favorite songs as well, Merciful and Evocation, just because they're a bit different from the stuff that we've done in the past. And Evocation, like, yeah, we haven't done an instrumental in quite some time now, so that one really caught me by surprise. And yeah, man, those are definitely my two favorite songs as well. But yeah, I don't know, just yeah, my best advice is just listen to it and go from there.
Yeah. So on the bonus edition of the album, you got a Hate Eternal cover as well, and a what made you pick that one?
Um, yeah, that one. I mean, it's just kind of paying respects to our uh, to our idols or whatever. That's definitely a song that I think not a lot of people know about because it was only on the demo.
That's right. Yeah.
But yeah, it's just a sick song, man. I don't know. I really feel like that kind of fits really well with what Skeletal Remains is trying to do, like our sound. And we're just really big fans of that song, and Hate Eternal in general. So yeah, I was just kind of paying respects to our idols or whatever, just like any other cover we've done.
Yeah, yeah, cool. Yeah, it certainly made me, because Disincarnate, you think, yeah, that fits quite well with Skeletal Remains resume, really. But
Hmm.
when I saw the Hate Eternal cover, I was like, oh yeah, they're not messing
Yeah,
around
yeah,
this time. And yeah, and to pick just an obscure song like that, so on the so yeah, have you got
yeah. And
anything planned
I
once the album comes out? You got any tours coming up or?
yeah, real quick though, actually, before back to the Hate Eternal cover, I actually didn't know this, but I mean, I know he was involved in that demo, but it turns out because once we did the we recorded the track and the label needed to get you know writing credits, we need to give writing credits to that song. I believe they reached out to Rutan about it, and it turns out that Alex Webster wrote that song by himself. I thought it was. I know he was involved, obviously,
Oh yeah, he
on that
played
first
bass on that
demo.
first demo. Yeah, he
Yeah.
played
Hmm.
because it was a split, wasn't it, with Alice? And
Yeah, yeah. I think it was Webster, Tim Young, and Rutan on that first demo. But
yeah,
it's a fucking sick lineup. But yeah. So I knew he was involved, and I could hear it, and obviously in that song that there's kind of some of like that those like vile era Cannibal Corpse style of
yeah. I
riffs.
didn't realize
Like
Alex Webster wrote it solely on his thing. Yeah, that's a
yeah,
cool.
he wrote the whole song and the lyrics. So I didn't know that, but yeah, that makes perfect sense. But anyways, yeah, for what we have planned, yeah, we have quite a couple things planned. We have our album release shows coming up here next week around the release date. And we'll be doing like 4 shows here in the West Coast, Santa Rosa, LA, Orange County, and Las Vegas. And then we have a tour coming up that we'll be announcing any day now. I think it should be announced maybe next week or the following. Um, that's here in the States. It's like 5 weeks or something. And then we have summer festivals in Europe. Um, we have a fall tour that's being worked on right now here in the States as well. Possibly some Latin America, South America stuff in December. And then I think a quite big tour package that's getting worked on for Europe in early 2025. So we have a couple of things lined up. Um, we'll see if things change and if more things come up. I'm sure they will. That always happens. But yeah, that's about it, man. That's all we have lined up. We're kind of just waiting around for this record to drop. That's the worst part. You record a record and you have to wait 6 months for it to release. You're just like sitting around waiting for people to hear it.
I'm seeing the artwork do the rounds as well, and there's a couple of videos that have come out, and yeah, it's it'll be here soon. But yeah, I thought it was
Yeah,
when I went to order it, I thought it was already out. I was like, oh no, I've still got a couple of weeks yet. But you've
yeah,
done
yeah.
3 videos now for it, haven't you? The is it 3?
3, yeah, yeah. We did
Yeah,
for each single. Void of Despair. Um,
Void of
fuck.
Despair is
There's
a really good one. That's the like sort of Lovecraftian, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. We did that one, and then we did
Conquer the
oh
Devout,
man, I don't know why I'm spacing out. Yeah,
and
Conquer
then
and Relentless. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Relentless Appetite. So yeah, we did 3 videos for this one, and yeah, man, the videos came out solid. The dudes we used for the videos were fucking. We've used Dylan before for the last record. He did the Congregation of both the Congregation and Dissectancy videos, and he did Conquer and Void of Despair for this record, and he's just worked great. He's really great to work with. Um, he's just like super, like he has super cool ideas when it comes to like, um, directing and stuff. Like we've just kind of sent them ideas we had and like the lyrics, and he just comes up with something super sick. And yeah, man, he did a really good job. And same for the Relentless Appetite video. That was a little bit more on the lower budget, but the video came out great. And yeah, man, we're stoked. We're stoked to that people are enjoying the single so far.
all right, man. Well, guys, Fragments of the Ageless is out on the 8th of March. Come back to the channel because I'll be doing an in-depth review and I'll be doing an unboxing and all the rest of it. I'll be showing it off when it's released. And yeah, Chris, thanks for joining me, man. And I hope to see you again in London very soon.
Yeah, man, thanks for having me, and thanks for to anybody that checked out the interview, and I hope you guys enjoy the new record. And yeah, we'll definitely see each other soon, man.
Yeah, no, this is a real special record, man. You should be very proud. And yeah, congratulations.
Thank you, man. Thanks so much. You have a good rest of your weekend.
Thanks a lot, everyone. We'll see you soon.